going to tell you 4 stories today. And some of these stories you might know, you will not know. So I'll start from one of my greatest heroes in Africa. His name is Mo Amin. Who has heard of Mo Amin here? If you're not with Akwaba, have you heard of Mo Amin? Okay, Mo Amin is the greatest photographer that had come out of Africa. He founded a company called Camera Pics. And he made Kenya Safari and East African Safari global. The fact everybody wants to go to East Africa was because of pictures that Mo Amin took. So Mo Amin's, when I went to Kenya, I always go to Masai Mara, and I went to a place called Tipilikwani, and the guy told me, oh, we have different chalets, different suites. Choose which one you want to stay in. And I saw Mo Amin. I said, put me in his chalet. And he says, why? I said, he's one of the people I've always admired. Henry, Livingstone, Mo Amin, Thomas Cook. There are people who had gone before me. And I felt, when I started, I moved in that path. So Mo Amin created content that was so powerful that the world moved. Everybody came to Kenya. Everybody that wanted to deal with Africa came to do safari because of one man's camera. They called him the sixth camera guy. But I took a lot of interest in him because his life ended in tragedy. And I'll tell you, he was so good that he transformed Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania wildlife. But he was the worst thing that ever happened to a country called Ethiopia. If I asked you what you remember about Ethiopia, that is not Ethiopian airline, what you remember is famine, right? The people, hungry people, the people that died and the people who are dying, right? That is the power of one man's camera. Mo Amin covered the famine in Ethiopia in 1984. He's such a good photographer and such a smart guy that he doesn't write his stories. He travels with a writer. He takes photographs, the writer writes the story. So Mo Amin covered the Ethiopian famines of 1984. He branded the country, Ethiopia, such a powerful brand with his camera that till today, it's difficult to erase the Ethiopian famine from the minds of people. People still think Ethiopia is a poor country with famine and hunger because one man camera told the story. The story was so compelling that he was knighted by the Queen. And when the American government gave $2 billion to Africa for life aids and after signing the bill, George Bush, the vice president, invited him and his family to White House and gave him the pen and symbolically gave him the check of $2 billion that was meant for Africa. You know about USA for Africa, right? It was one man's camera and storytelling power that created all of that. Yeah, I like that. So, this is me admiring Mo Amin, collecting videos about Mo Amin, keeping memorabilia about Mo Amin. Then I go to a place called Lalibela in Ethiopia. And I went with some people. We went to do Christmas in Lalibela, one of their greatest experiences, 7th of January. Lalibela is where you have those rock-hewn churches, one of the greatest things done by Africa. And at Lalibela, I sat down in a corner, we were waiting to travel. Then a lady walks up to me. I heard you're Ikechi. I said, yes. They say you're very influential, you're very powerful. I said, no, I'm not. He said, oh, for Ethiopian government and the airline to bring you here and people like that. So somebody introduced us, I can't remember. And I said, what is it you want to know about me? He said, okay, I'm a photographer. I brought some young photographers to come and do photographs to create new imagery for Ethiopia. I said, oh, I came back from Canada to do that. Today, that lady is also a legend. She's married somebody and moved her studio to Côte d'Ivoire and Ghana. I don't know if you have heard of Ida Muleni. Ida is a top shot photographer in Africa. And Ida said to me, You see, one man took a photograph and branded Ethiopia negatively for generations. My job as an Ethiopian is to try to change that image using the same weapon, a camera. And I had, it was tectonic. It's like, okay, I'm here admiring Mo Amin for all the great things he's done. And somebody just tells me, see, that man ruined my country. And he used just one thing, a camera. That's the power of content creation. You could change, you could destroy, you can build. That's my first story. My second story is a country called Haiti. Haiti is an unfortunate country that had had quite a lot of negative things done to them by Africa and by the world and by nature. So they got hit by this earthquake that devastated everywhere. A very popular Christian evangelist who runs a TV program, CBN, goes and says that Haiti's problem is because they made a pact with Satan in order to defeat the French. That it was that pact they did with Satan that gave them the power to defeat the French. They are the first Africans to get independence anywhere, and they got it by conquest. Now, this man is a powerful televangelist respected by Christians all over the world. He says something careless on TV. Everybody believed it. Haiti doesn't get sympathy because they believe they made a pact with the devil. That is a negative power of content creation, because he was a powerful influencer. He had a platform and he just wrecked a country. But why Haiti is poor is because the French and America decided to punish them for defeating the French. They imposed every kind of colonial tax on them, made them pay back until during that earthquake. That was when they stopped collecting money from Haiti. They couldn't export anything. But somebody just wiped off a country with just few words. The power of content should never be underestimated for people who have that platform and personality. The third story is about Obudu. I went to Obudu first time in the 90s. And before then, every picture you see of Obudu, they called it the rolling hills of Obudu. All the pictures were about hills and the rest of them. So I went first time, went second time. So the third time I went to Obudu, I was hired to do a job. CNN Traveler was doing a compilation for pictures for different places in Nigeria, and I had to do for Cross River. So I was the person hired to do some of those pictures. So when I got to Cross River, the state government gave somebody to take me around. Jerome. So we got to Obudu. And the day we got to Obudu was the day the South African who transformed the whole place resumed work. So he was there trying to tell them how to cut the trees and rearrange. So I stayed in the old room that was still open. So recently in Turkey, last month I was speaking at a conference, and I told them the most beautiful place in the world is Obudu. And you know, Europeans, I said, who has ever touched the cloud before? Nobody in the audience. I said, okay, I've touched the cloud. I've seen the cloud leave residues of my head. I've opened the door and the cloud moved in, and I shut the door behind the cloud. Now, you know when you give people siki, the guy now didn't know how to answer. He said, oh, I see you're an elegant storyteller from Nigeria. So, yeah, see, I like that. So I remember when Christina Mampo had Okonjo-Iweala on her show, and she tries to dominate and intimidate. And Okonjo-Iweala was throwing figures, drawing. She said, "Oh, you're the number cruncher for Nigeria, right?" So when someone has lost an argument and he needs to escape, so the guy just told me, "Oh, you're an elegant storyteller." So Obudu is unique. In year 2000, 2001, I had one of the first digital cameras in Nigeria. So I walked around with that small, bogus thing, mini computer. So that day, I saw a site while we were climbing the hill, and I said, "This site, I need to take this picture." It was those twisted, what they call the intestine road, right?
Yeah.
The devil's elbows and the rest of them. I said, I need to stand at a point to take a picture that will get all the turns. So Jerome says, "I'll take you there." So we took the pickup and we parked there. Unfortunately for me, that day it was drizzling and the cloud decides to descend. So I couldn't take the picture. I said, "I'm not leaving Obudu until that cloud moves." And the guy tells me, "We are going to sleep here today." So I step out of the car, and I'm a Christian. So I start commanding the cloud. It was funny. I started telling this cloud, "You have to move because I need to take this picture now." And I started, "In the name of Jesus," this guy got out of the car, fell on the ground while he was laughing. He said, "You've gone mad. You're commanding?" I said, "Yes." Then before he got up, I snapped pictures and I got back to him. He said, "What happened?" I said, "The cloud moved." And the cloud moved. So I put this picture in the magazine and I sent a copy to the governor of Cross River, Donald Duke. That is the beginning of my relationship with Cross River State. So they had hired, Miss World was coming to Nigeria, and they have hired one of the biggest photographers in Nigeria, Suri Smartco, to come and put together all the photographs for them to put in a book. Then Donald Duke just saw the picture and said, "Who took this picture?" They said, "Oh, it's one guy." It's okay. Give him the job to come and do the picture for Calabar. I've never seen this picture of Obudu. I've never. So call him. That is how I became a friend. So the picture, the book they did for Paradise in Nigeria, what they used for Miss World, I had to put together that. And it was because of one picture. Storytelling, content provision, fantastic way to redesign a place. So today you see pictures of Obudu, you always see that particular concept of the road. Before then, it wasn't there. Then I'll tell you, what I consider one of my biggest achievements. We celebrated it in Ghana on Friday. In 2016, I went to the government of Ghana and I said to them, West Africa has no unique product that is common to the whole of West Africa. Can we create one, Nigeria and Ghana? And the CEO said, "Okay, what do we use?" I said, "Let's use jollof rice." He said, "Let's create a fake competition between Nigeria and Ghana about jollof rice war. You bring the chef, I bring the chef, we'll do it and we'll start. And eventually we'll create something for West Africa." And he said to me, "Yeah, let's do it." So GTA and Akwaba Travel Market put together the project to make jollof rice competition and a popular product for West Africa. Most Ghanaians have never eaten Nigerian jollof, but they got into the war.
Yeah.
Everybody got into the war. Today, the football match between Nigeria and Ghana is called the Jollof Rice Derby, right? But nobody knew how it started. We sat down, and that day, the director said, "I was there when the meeting was done." So in 5 years, we've created something, a powerful brand for West Africa. That is my fourth story. I'm sure most of you here also don't know that was how the whole thing took off, got gravitas, flew way beyond us. But we are happy that we created it. So we could take on anything. I told Ghanaians, don't bother fighting about jollof rice. You can't cook jollof rice. The food that comes from heaven is wache. The best food I've eaten in West Africa, wache. Then Ghana has another thing that angels gave to them, shito. I said, so bother yourself about shito and wache. Forget jollof rice, you can't cook. Jollof rice without tomato is what now? So, I will finish my 4 stories. The power that content can create, change a place, and make a lot of difference in places. And one of them involved people in this room, but I'll keep that for last. So let me run to the end of my little storytelling. And a professor talked about, at the conference we had at Accra, it was about digitalization. And he said that there are 3 things that, I hope I get it right, 3 things, types of stories that are told. The first thing is what people say about you. Another thing is what you say about yourself. Then what people believe about you, which is actually perception. And the first 2 actually is what balances off what ends up as perception. So people can say anything about you. Is what you say about yourself that helps defray that. I do crisis communication. I've handled 3 plane crashes for different airlines in different countries. And part of what you try to do in crisis communication, outside controlling the narrative, is to always match a red line with a blue line. So what people say about you is powerful, but what you say about yourself is awesome. So if everybody says you're a thief, and you come calling yourself a philanthropist, sorry. We have a president today who came out and said, it's my turn. Everybody else says it's not your turn. But he has the instruments of power today. So you could declare that what my friend did about it, there are hills. That is phenomenal. A small piece of rock that is 180 meters high, nothing, but he crafted it, told a story about it, pushed it, and it went somewhere. So please, let's give him a round of applause. So I'll leave you with 3 things you could do to be able to tell good stories, to be able to transform any destination. Before those 3 points, I'll give you the last story. And the last story is about Akwa Ibom State. Before 2020, Akwa Ibom State was a very low-level destination. If you did top 10 studies in Nigeria, it won't count. But they had the material medical for scaling. They had hotel, airport, airline, but it didn't come together. So the commissioner eventually, through Shalom, calls me for a meeting. First time I agreed to go, and we sat down and said, we have done a lot of these things, it didn't work. I said, you have to do it differently. The most beautiful girls in Nigeria, some of the most beautiful girls in Nigeria, not all, come from Akwa Ibom State. But when you say pretty girls, they say they are Calabar girls, right? Yeah. They cook the best food. But when you talk about food, you say it's Calabar kitchen. Mary Slessor was in Akwa Ibom. But when you want to talk about Mary Slessor, you say it's Calabar. So the absence of storytellers is the biggest problem of Akwa Ibom. Till today, they don't know how to tell their story. So I tell them, can we rent people to come and tell your story? So we eventually convinced them to host a NATOP meeting. And the NATOP AGM. Okay, I'll raise the decibel. Okay. And at the NATOP AGM, I brought all the young top operators. I can see most of you here. And I said, these are the people that will change the narrative for you. And since the end of NATOP AGM, the pictures, the stories, we curated they wouldn't know I programmed what most of you said anyway, because I drew up a plan, a communication plan, and we make sure that every single story that came out of Akwa Ibom fell into that plan. And today, Akwa Ibom is one of the top 10 destinations for local tours. And it was done by you. Give yourself a round of applause. So, if we need to change the story of Africa, is BBC here? Stop Africans from listening to BBC. That's important. Every wrong image of Nigeria that Africans have is from BBC. Every wrong image Nigerians have of other Africans is from those morning programs. It's called developmental journalism. They talk about killing of albinos in Malawi, hunchbacks in this, female genital mutilation or whatever in this. They just pick single topics and discuss it. And the only thing other Africans will remember about that country is that thing. Oh, corruption in Nigeria. So it's supposed good journalism, but it leaves negative branding for those countries. So I keep telling them in Uganda, the only thing you know about me is what you heard on BBC. The only thing I know about you is what I heard on BBC. So but thanks to social media, we're able to follow Anka Senior. We know Eddie Kenzo. We know Soti Soul in Kenya. And now we have Nigerian Afrobeats. Nigerians don't care about clearing their image. Our media is doing a lot of that for us. You might hate me, you might do anything, but I see you dancing to Nigerian music. You're trying to talk like me in picture. So, the three things I will want you to do, they are not original to me. I copied it. I think one of the guys I like to listen to, Farid Zakaria on CNN, very brilliant guy. He says, to move forward, three things you need to do. Stop doing stupid things. Yeah. When something happens in Nigeria, you can present the facts, but present it in a way that is positive. When I went for training on tourism communication by UNWTO, they just said, spin the wheel. Don't change the facts, but add a little bit of spin to it. So, stop doing stupid things. Stop giving facts raw without having to airbrush it a little. So for those of you that use camera, please, that know how to use it well. I saw a picture he posted of a wedding at Idere. Now, I didn't see the hill. I didn't even see the guy. I was just looking at the pretty lady there. We have a weakness together. But he's always, I've warned him. Then the second thing you now need to do is start doing smart things. Be intentional. Make a plan, just like we did for Akwa Ibom State. Everybody could go there and tell whatever stories. It won't get the result. But because there was a plan, well curated, executed, without even the players knowing they were being played. That I made everybody tell story along a particular line. And the benefit is huge. We didn't tell a lie. We corrected lies. That this is not Amalgamation House. That's a lie. Lord Lugard never came here. That's a lie. So you don't try to sell a destination by using fibs. Yeah, they did it about Count Dracula in Hungary, but we are not supposed to do that. Less truth in travel, but blend it well. That's the second thing you need to do. Then the third thing you need to do is plan for the future. Everything is not going to be as it is today. Expect that there will be a lot of things that will change. I remember when he started traveling, he had one of my publications as his Bible. But today, he just told us here, social media is the real media. From a writer of books. So everybody in this hall has the power to change perception. Because perception is a combination of what they say about you and what you say about yourself. Thank you.
Africa, oh,